Come on. Woo! Let's go. Dubs in the chat, baby. Come on.
Fever now! NC's career high, period.
Caitlin Clark, masterclass of beauty, perfection, a 45-point double, a 45-point double.
Caitlin Clark done turned up on you. Caitlin Clark put on a spectacular show. Chef's Kiss versus the Seattle Storm. Oh yeah, I put on my shirt and tie because damn it, we mean business.
Everyone, if you love WNBA news, basketball history, and the biggest stories surrounding today's stars, you're in the right place. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. All right, what you're about to hear isn't just another WNBA record. It's a moment that could resonate for years to come. Caitlin Clark has officially become the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 200 career three-pointers, achieving the milestone in extraordinary fashion. But what makes this achievement even more remarkable is not just the accomplishment itself, but the way she achieved it and why basketball fans everywhere are captivated by it. Stay with us, because this performance was nothing short of extraordinary. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 93% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, have you subscribed already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video. Made the instant Caitlin Clark knock down her milestone three-pointer. With that shot, she officially became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 200 career three-pointers. Think about that for a moment. The WNBA has featured some of the greatest shooters the game has ever seen. Just when some critics thought Caitlin Clark might finally be slowing down, just when they believed the pressure, physical defense, injuries, and constant expectations were beginning to wear on her, she responded by doing something no player in WNBA history had ever accomplished faster. 200 career three-pointers, not after 5 seasons, not after 4 seasons. Caitlin Clark reached that milestone in just 74 career games, shattering the previous record of 81 games held by WNBA legend Katie Smith. And somehow, that historic three-point achievement was not even the biggest story of the night. Clark did not simply break a shooting record. She delivered one of the most complete and unforgettable performances the league has ever witnessed. 45 points, 10 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks, 6 made three-pointers, and a dramatic 110-107 Indiana Fever victory over the Seattle Storm. It was the first game in WNBA history in which a player recorded at least 40 points and 10 assists. Her 45 points also established a new Indiana Fever franchise record. We are breaking down the record, the performance, the pressure surrounding Caitlin Clark, and why reaching 200 three-pointers this quickly is about far more than one number. Because love her or criticize her, one truth is becoming increasingly difficult to deny. Caitlin Clark is changing the pace at which WNBA history is being written. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because moments like this deserve more than a 30-second highlight. They deserve the full story. And this story begins with a player who entered the night surrounded by questions. Clark had recently returned from a back injury that forced her to miss time. She was still rebuilding her rhythm and working her way back to a full workload. Her previous 3 games from beyond the arc had been challenging. She had made only 3 of her previous 19 three-point attempts, and her season percentage from deep had fallen to around 32% entering the Seattle matchup. For any player, that kind of stretch can create hesitation. 1 missed shot becomes 2 missed shots. 2 misses become doubt. The player begins thinking instead of reacting. She starts passing up opportunities she would normally take. Every attempt begins to feel heavier because everyone is waiting to see whether the next one will fall. And when you are Caitlin Clark, a shooting slump does not remain a quiet basketball problem. It becomes a national conversation. Every miss is analyzed. Every decision is debated. Every expression is turned into a headline. Some wonder whether the defense has solved her. Others question whether she is fully healthy. Some argue she takes too many difficult shots, while others demand that she become even more aggressive. That is the unique reality of being one of the most discussed athletes in women's basketball. Clark is rarely allowed to have an ordinary game. She is either making history or being asked what went wrong. But great shooters are not defined by the nights when everything feels easy. They are defined by what they do after the ball stops falling. And against Seattle, Clark did not play like someone searching for confidence. She played like someone who had already decided the confidence was still there. From the opening moments of the game, Indiana played with speed and purpose. Clark was not only hunting her own shot, she was creating opportunities for the players around her, forcing Seattle's defense to make uncomfortable choices. Defenders had to decide whether to step toward Clark several feet beyond the three-point line or stay attached to Indiana's cutters and shooters. Move too close and Clark could attack the space behind the defender. Stay too far away and she could launch from a distance that many players would consider unreasonable. Send a second defender and the passing lanes opened. That is what makes Clark's offensive impact difficult to measure by points alone. A deep three-pointer changes the scoreboard. The possibility of a deep three-pointer changes the entire defense. And on this night, possibilities quickly became reality. Clark finished 11 of 18 from the field and 6 of 10 from three-point range. She also attacked frequently enough to earn 19 free throw attempts, making 17 of them. This reveals something important. This was not simply a player standing behind the arc and waiting for open shots. Clark scored from distance, created in transition, attacked defenders, drew contact, and generated opportunities for her teammates. The three-point record will receive the headline, but her overall performance revealed why she has become far more than a specialist. She can punish a defense in multiple ways, and that is exactly why the milestone of 200 career threes matters. Caitlin Clark reached the number in 74 games. Katie Smith, one of the most respected scorers in the history of women's professional basketball, previously held the record at 81 games. Breaking a record associated with a player of Smith's caliber is not a minor accomplishment. 7 games may not sound like an enormous difference until you understand how difficult consistent three-point production truly is. Defenses know exactly what Clark wants to do. She is on every scouting report. Opponents prepare for her range. They pick her up far from the basket. They place physical defenders in her path. They attempt to deny her the ball, force her toward help, and make every possession exhausting. There is very little surprise involved. Clark is not reaching these milestones because teams are unaware of her abilities. She is reaching them while entire defensive schemes are built around stopping those variabilities. That is what separates an impressive statistic from a meaningful record. The opposition knows what is coming. The opposition prepares for what is coming, and Clark continues finding ways to produce it anyway. But the night was far from finished after the milestone. Indiana needed more than a record. The Fever needed Clark to deliver when the game became uncomfortable. Seattle stayed competitive, continued attacking, and eventually placed Indiana under genuine pressure late in the fourth quarter. The Fever had led earlier, but the Storm pushed back. Indiana found itself trailing by 8 points midway through the final period. The celebration surrounding Clark's record could have become a footnote in a frustrating loss, where the performance transitioned from impressive to unforgettable. Yet Clark scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. But one of the most crucial plays did not come from her shooting. With less than 1 minute remaining and the score tied, Seattle appeared positioned for a fast break layup. Clark sprinted back. She recovered and blocked the attempt, sending the ball out of bounds. It was the kind of play critics do not always associate with a player known for long-range shooting and creative passing. Then moments later, Clark delivered the shot everyone will remember, a three-pointer from the left wing. Indiana took a 105-102 lead. The Fever surrendered it. Clark then made 4 free throws during the final 17 seconds to help secure the 110-107 victory. In that sequence, a defensive recovery, a block in a tied game, a go-ahead three-pointer, 4 pressure free throws. That is not simply scoring, that is control. It is understanding that a historic individual performance means very little if the team walks away with a loss. Clark had already reached 200 career three-pointers. She had already produced a career-high scoring night. She had already created WNBA history. But the final challenge was completing the victory, and she did. This is also why focusing only on debates about popularity can cause people to miss what is actually happening on the court. Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA with extraordinary attention. That attention created passionate supporters, intense critics, enormous expectations, and constant comparisons. Some fans celebrate every achievement as proof that she is transforming the league. Some critics respond by pointing toward other great players who have built the WNBA over many years. But appreciating Clark's historic start does not require disrespecting the legends who came before her. In fact, Clark's accomplishments become more meaningful when the history is respected. Katie Smith's record mattered. That is why breaking it matters. The players who built the WNBA established the standard that Clark is now pursuing. And each new generation is supposed to challenge the previous one. That is how sports evolve. Records are not insults to the past. They are conversations with the past. A great player establishes a mark. Another great player spends years trying to reach it. And eventually someone arrives who changes what people believe is possible. Clark reaching 200 three-pointers in 74 games does not erase anyone. It adds another chapter. However, there is also a reason this particular record feels intrinsically connected to Clark's identity. Long before she entered the WNBA, her shooting range had become one of the most recognizable features of her game. She did not merely take three-pointers near the line. She regularly stretched defenses several feet beyond it. Those shots were not only visually dramatic, they fundamentally changed how defenders had to approach her. Traditional defensive spacing became dangerous. A defender who believed she was standing at a safe distance could suddenly realize Clark was already within her shooting range. That ability forces the defense to expand. Once the defense expands, the floor opens. Driving lanes become larger. Passing angles become clearer. Teammates receive more room to operate. This is why Clark's three-point shooting and passing are interconnected. Her range creates fear. That fear creates movement, and that movement creates opportunities. The record tells us she has made 200 threes faster than anyone else. But it does not fully illustrate how many other baskets became possible because opponents were concerned about three-pointer number 201. This performance also arrived at a pivotal moment in Clark's development.